Hello, and welcome back to the JP Zilla channel. Recently, I just finished watching all the new Generation Ultraman shows, and I thought, what better way to celebrate than to make a list? Yay! Okay, more specifically, this list is meant to break down each new Generation Ultraman from weakest to strongest. A little disclaimer, I will not be ranking secondary Ultras in this list, so Zero from Jeed, Titus, and Fuma from Taiga, and etc. will not be included as this list is already pretty lengthy. I also won't be including the combination Ultramen, such as Ginga Victory or Reika. With that out of the way, let's get started. Number 1. Ultraman Decker. Ultraman Decker is an Ultraman who inherited his power from a future Ultraman. Honestly, in terms of sheer power, I don't really recall Decker doing anything that noteworthy, so we're just gonna kinda move on. Number 2. Ultraman Trigger. Ultraman Trigger is an ancient Ultra who once fought on the side of darkness, before having some sense literally slapped into him by his future self. In the present day, he was forced to fight the monster form of his ex-girlfriend, who had absorbed the power of the Eternity Core, the core of their version of Earth. His biggest feat is basically restabilizing the core with his own power. Possibly, maybe getting him into planetary levels of power, but other than that, he really isn't that powerful compared to the other Ultras on this list. Number 3. Ultraman Blazar. Ultraman Blazar is an Ultra who came from, you guessed it, an actual Blazar. A seemingly more primitive Ultra who doesn't even know how to use words, he bonds with Captain Gento of Scar to protect the Earth from dangerous monsters. You know, classic Ultraman stuff. Some of his biggest feats are being able to move the moon itself back into orbit, and this was in a physically weakened state. And he also survived being caught in an explosion that was powerful enough to knock the moon out of said orbit. Most impressive, however, was the fact that he was literally born in a Blazar. Blazars are jets of pure photonic energy, fueled by supermassive black holes, with enough energy to destroy planets and stars easily. And Blazar not only tanked it point blank, he was born inside of one. Number 4. Rosso and Blue. Rosso and Blue are two human brothers who inherited the power of ancient Ultramen from the planet 050, who came to this Earth ages past and died in battle. Utilizing the Rube crystals, they can each take on various forms, each form controlling a different element, such as fire, commonly used by Rosso, and water, commonly used by Blue. Their greatest feat is defeating Lugocyte, an entity who once acted as a kind of white blood cell for the universe, but went haywire and started destroying stars and worlds indiscriminately. I should add the disclaimer, however, that they did this in a combined form, and with the power of their sister, who turned out to be a power-up. You know, regular Ultraman stuff. So they don't quite scale to this in their regular forms, but I still feel pretty comfortable placing them in third place. Number 5. Ultraman Orb. The fact that Ultraman Orb is so low on this list only shows how intense the new generation Ultras truly are. Ultraman Orb originates from planet 050, where a sentient power known as the Voice of Light bestowed its power on Kurenai Guy, transforming him into Ultraman Orb. Ultraman Orb wields the Orb Caliber, a sword imbued with the 4 elements of water, earth, fire, and air, in order to seal the King Devil Beasts, basically souped-up versions of mostly classic kaiju. His most impressive feat is being able to defeat Magatano Orochi, the evolved form of King Devil Beast Maga Orochi, who even in this juvenile form was said to have devoured countless worlds. Ultraman Orb trumps Ultraman Rosso and Blue for defeating Maga Orochi, a world destroyer like Lugocyte, on his own in a form that is categorically weaker than his true form, and then defeating the evolved form of said monster with minimal help from a weaker ally. I don't want to give away too many spoilers for the end, but that's the gist. Number 6. Ultraman X. Ultraman X is an Ultra who was accidentally turned into computer data, again, regular Ultraman stuff, in a fight with Grieza and ended up bonding with Daichi, a scientist working for Geo. Like with the other two entries, his greatest feat comes from the final boss of his show. Huh, that seems to be a recurring theme. Griza. Griza is nothing. Literally nothing. A hole in space that the human subconscious has given a face just because it can't comprehend literal nothingness being there. And how does X defeat it? By filling it with energy. He defeats a Lovecraftian black hole that devours worlds by giving it too much to eat. Enough said. So far, his only weakness seems to be being put into silent mode by Juggler's Juggler. I mean, seriously, you can't convince me that Juggler is not the most goated character in fiction at this point. Number 7. Ultraman Z. Following on the coattails of X is the other lettered Ultra, Z. Z is one of the few Ultras on this list who is actually from the Land of Light, home of the classic Ultramen. There are two reasons why he is on this list. One is that he, too, defeated Griza, this time by cutting it with a mystical space needle, bonded with Belial's genes, which can cut through nothingness itself. And the second is that he has access to the powers of Ultraman Geed, Belial Atrocious, and Ultraman Zero's most powerful form, Zero Beyond. Now, technically, we don't know exactly how much of their power his medals give him. A third? I can't believe that it gives him 100% of their power, because there is no way in hay that Zet is stronger than Belial Atrocious, or Zero Beyond in any form. Either way, any amount of power from these three puts him in a crazy good position, and a sword that can cut through nothingness itself doesn't hurt either. Number 8. Ultraman Ginga. Alright, now we're getting into the good ones. Ultraman Ginga is the light side half of an entity which decided to split in two because it couldn't reconcile its light and dark halves. The other half became Dark Lugiel, a being so powerful that it turned every Ultra and monster up to that point, or at least almost every, from previous shows into literal dolls. Dark Lugiel achieved this via the Dark Spark, a weapon which he would later use against Ultraman Ginga in their final battle on the moon. What's interesting about this final battle is that after the defeat of Dark Lugiel, this device turns into dust. Now, you can read this in either one of two ways. Either Ultraman Ginga's attack itself turned the device into dust, or Dark Lugiel's life force was tied to this device, and when he died, it turned into dust with him. Either way, Ultraman Ginga clearly scales above this device. This Dark Spark turned every Ultra and monster into literal dolls. This includes beings like Dark Zagi, who is also a casual world destroyer, who survived a supernova so large it ripped a hole in the fabric of the universe, which the inhabitants of said galaxy caused just to try to get rid of him, and then immediately proceeded to invade the Land of Light, only being stopped when Noah, one of the most powerful Ultramen ever and the genetic template to Zagi himself, came to put Zagi in a timeout. And Lugiel turned him into a doll. And then he used him as a puppet, who Ginga defeated. Also, I looked it up on the Ultra Wiki, and Ultraman Zero, one of the most powerful Ultramen, an Ultra who was able to solo Belial, who was able to solo nearly every other Ultra in existence up to that point, who took a universe-destroying bomb to the face, yeah, that's gonna come up later, by the way, into a doll. My point is, as broken as Lugiel is as a character, Ultraman Ginga still beat him. And Zagi. Let's not forget about how broken Zagi is too, making him easily one of the most powerful new generation Ultras ever, and I think he has a solid argument for the most powerful new generation Ultra ever, but in my opinion, these three take the cake. Number 9. Ultraman Arc. Ultraman Arc is kind of the most broken Ultraman in existence. To summarize, he's basically Thanos with the Reality Stone. Reality can be whatever he wants, because his power is only limited by his imagination. For instance, after meeting Ultraman Blazar, he created a cube which allowed him to take on a Blazar-like form, even using his signature light spear thing. I think this is called a spiral berate or something, I don't know. He can bend light using his mind, and he even killed an army of intangible ghosts. Arc isn't even an Ultra by birth, but an alien named Rution from a galaxy that was going to be blown up by a star getting too big. A bad alien from the same galaxy named Zesu proposed a plan that would let them vent the energy of said star through wormholes. But the flaw in this plan was that the wormholes had to be placed in very specific locations, particularly Earth. Rution's species decided that the collateral damage of Earth, even to save their own galaxy, was unacceptable. So they sent Rution to Earth, where he merged with a human named Yuma, and basically fed off of this human's imagination to become Yuma's imaginary superhero, the titular Ultraman Arc. He would later go on to absorb the energy being vented through the Zesu Gate, which was enough to destroy Earth. Even without the imagination thing, Arc now has planetary levels of power due to absorbing the Zesu Gate, on par with, in my opinion, World Eaters, such as Lugosite and Maga Orochi. He can also open wormholes at will, allowing him to pop up wherever he wants on the battlefield and demonstrating extra-dimensional levels of power. And he can clone himself to make an Arc army. Bruh. I'm very tempted to dub him the strongest new generation Ultra, but maybe you can understand why I didn't after I reveal who the next two are. Number 10. Ultraman Jeed. Ultraman Jeed is the clone of Ultraman Belial, the same Belial who defeated an army of Ultramen, most of which were main characters. And as we've demonstrated so far, main character Ultramen have insane feats, although the Showa and Heisei Ultraman which Belial took out aren't quite so bonkers as the new generation. The important thing to note here is that Ultraman Belial tanked an explosion of his own doing, which would have destroyed the universe if it weren't for the intervention of Ultraman King. Jeed would later fight against this Belial in his base form. Let me repeat, in his weakest form. And he still won, automatically granting Jeed Universal Plus rank. On top of this, Jeed then gets even stronger in the form of Ultimate Final. In my opinion, the only way to describe Jeed is Universal Plus Plus. The reason he is above Arc is because I just feel that Jeed's feats are far more concrete than Arc's rather abstract power of imagination, and I'm not sure if even Yuma can imagine anything powerful enough to beat Jeed. Number 11. Ultraman Taiga. Taiga's backstory is simple. He is an Ultra from the Land of Light and the son of Ultraman Taro, a classic Showa Ultraman and one of the 6 Ultra Brothers, basically the Avengers of the Ultra series. Taiga kind of surprised me. He's the last new generation Ultra I watched, and for most of his show, he just seemed to be about average, neither particularly strong nor particularly weak for an Ultra. And then he met Zero. Oh, Zero, you always make power scaling so much more complicated. Who gave him a bracelet that let him unleash an attack that Zero described as our strength resonated 2,000,000%, quote unquote. I'm honestly kind of speechless. This is the same Zero who was able to solo Belial, who would later go on to solo a universe-destroying blast point blank. So that's his power, multiplied by Taiga's power, who wasn't anything that special, but he's still an Ultraman who's defeated dozens of kaiju at this point. Multiplied by 2,000,000%, which is 20,000 times over. And just like that, Taiga became Universal plus 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 plus, and you know what? I can just keep adding pluses. About 20,000 of them, apparently. Yeah. He also manages to defeat Traeger using the same move, who is able to fight on par with Jeed, even in his ultimate final form, and only lost with the combined attacks from both Groob, who is the combined form of Rosso Blue and their younger sister Ultra Woman Grigio, and Jeed in his strongest form. But Taiga incinerates him. I mean, no kidding. If he ever had a reason to fight Arc, well, even Arc wouldn't be imagining his way out of this one. What did you think of this list? Did it surprise you? Do you agree with it? Or are there any alterations you would like to let me know about in the comments down below? If you liked this video, Please be sure to let the algorithm know by clicking like and subscribing so that you and other Ultra fans can see more videos like this. And be sure to check out my other Ultra videos, like Can Showa Ultraman beat Christopher Reeve's Superman? Or Godzilla? And what would it look like if he was in the MCU? Until next time, this has been JPZilla. Bye!